Welcome to our show, Hong Kong Brief, where we dive into the latest happenings with a sprinkle of zest and a dash of light-heartedness. Today, we've got a mixed bag of news from around the globe, starting with the Boao Forum in China. This annual gathering is buzzing with talks on financial cooperation, AI governance, and those ever-present geopolitical tensions. It's like the economic Oscars, where China aims to woo back investors after a bit of a slump. They're also chatting about tech innovations and how to climb up that industrial value chain. Meanwhile, Australia's wine producers are raising their glasses, as tariffs are set to end, and commodities are facing headwinds. Cheers to that. Moving on, China's industrial profits are looking up, showing signs that the economy might be stabilizing. Profits have jumped by 10.2% in the early months of 2024, continuing a winning streak since last August. It seems foreign demand and a policy nudge from Beijing are doing their magic. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as deflationary pressures loom over, thanks to a property slump and a pinch on domestic demand. More policy support might be needed to keep the party going. In currency news, the yuan traders are scratching their heads as China's daily signals on the yuan's reference rates are as clear as mud, making it a bit of a guessing game. Lastly, on the sports front, Hong Kong's national triathlon team is gearing up for next year's national games with high hopes for medal glory, thanks to their impressive performance at the World Triathlon Cup race. Over in the UK, the government's pointing fingers at China for some sneaky hacking, stirring up the pot in the ongoing digital Cold War. And in the realm of green energy, China's Tsingshan Holding Group is setting up shop in Indonesia for a battery factory, aiming to get a jump on the competition. Plus, Hong Kong and Asia are stepping up their game with the Women Workplace Index, tracking companies' progress on women-friendly policies. It's about time. So, whether it's economic forums, industrial profits, or the digital tug-of-war, there's never a dull moment in the world of news. Stay tuned for the detailed scoop on all these stories and more. Please continue watching for more in-depth content. Boao latest, Australia wine tariff to end, commodities headwinds. Bloomberg. China's annual Boao Forum is taking place this week, with government officials and corporate executives discussing a range of topics such as financial cooperation, AI governance, and geopolitical tensions. The forum is being closely watched by investors to gauge China's economic outlook, investment environment, and commitment to opening up. China is looking to boost the confidence of overseas investors after foreign direct investment into the country slumped to a 30-year low in 2023. The forum also features discussions on technology, including AI, and the need for technological innovation to move up the industrial value chain. China industrial profits rise in sign of stabilizing economy. Bloomberg. Profits at China's industrial companies increased by 10.2% YoY in the first 2 months of 2024, extending the gaining streak seen since August. The increase in industrial profits is seen as evidence that the Chinese economy is on a firmer footing this year, supported by rebounding foreign demand and policy stimulus by Beijing. However, deflationary pressures remain as a property slump and subdued confidence weigh on domestic demand, and falling factory gate prices squeeze industrial firms' profit margins. To spur domestic consumption, more policy support is needed to increase household income. Yuan traders stumped as China's key daily signal clouds over. Bloomberg. Mixed signals from the People's Bank of China, PBOC, regarding daily reference rates for the yuan are undermining traders' ability to forecast the currency's movement. The fixing is the most important and effective method for guiding market expectations, though it also allows room for wider swings, potentially spilling over into other currencies, including the dollar. The PBOC has recently weakened the fixing, thus signaling a willingness to let the yuan decline as well as strengthened it to curb depreciation of the currency and boost exports. Hong Kong triathlon coach Wright expects medals from his squad at national games. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's national triathlon team is expected to perform well at next year's National Games after a strong showing at the World Triathlon Cup race. Head coach Andrew Wright praised the team's depth and improvement, and believes that with a fully fit squad, they will have a good chance of winning medals at the National Games. The team will next compete in the Asian Sprint Championships and a Continental Championship in April. China's UK hacking hardens Cold War battle lines. Bloomberg. The UK government has accused China of hacking the country's electoral commission and targeting the email accounts of members of parliament. The announcement was followed by similar statements from the US, Australia, and New Zealand. The UK's National Cyber-Security Centre said it was almost certain that the Chinese state-affiliated group APT31 was responsible. Although the security of elections was not compromised, the move is seen as a warning to Beijing ahead of elections in several countries this year. Tsingshan unit plans Indonesian battery plant as trade frictions mount. Bloomberg. Tsingshan Holding Group's battery unit, REPT Batero Energy, is planning to build its first overseas battery factory in Indonesia. The move comes as part of China's efforts to invest in processing and manufacturing in the Southeast Asian nation. The factory will be located alongside Tsingshan's existing operations in Wida Bay and could be operational by next year. The company aims to get ahead of its rivals in Europe and North America, which are expected to start operating their battery factories in 2026 or later. Indonesia is the world's largest miner of nickel and second largest miner of cobalt, crucial ingredients for EV batteries. New index to track women-friendly workplace policies in Hong Kong, Asia. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong and Asia's first publicly accessible database of companies' women-friendly workplace policies has been launched. The Women Workplace Index, World War I, aims to become the largest database of such initiatives, tracking firms' progress on issues such as sexual harassment, maternity leave, and equal pay. It will also act as an accreditation scheme, certifying companies based on their disclosures, and making the information available for free online. World War I will initially approach Hong Kong-listed companies before expanding to cover other companies in the region, and its pilot study will be published in May. Get public on side for Hong Kong waste charging plan. SCMP opinion. Authorities in Hong Kong have scaled back a trial run of the city's pay-as-you-throw scheme, just days before it was due to start. The scheme, which requires all rubbish to be collected in prepaid bags, has already been delayed twice and will now only be tested in a limited number of locations. Environmentalists and lawmakers have criticized the small sample size, saying it will not provide broad enough results to ease public concerns. The scheme is set to be implemented citywide in August. China's flight suspensions are bad for Singapore ties. Bloomberg. Singapore Airlines is suspending flights to two Chinese cities, Chongqing and Chengdu, due to a lack of approval from the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, according to reports. The move follows cuts to routes to China by Korean Airlines and Asiana Airlines, as well as increasing tensions between the two countries and restrictions imposed by China. While the suspension is unlikely to have a significant impact on Singapore Airlines, it does not bode well for the strong relationship between China and Singapore, which has stood firm as other Asian countries have grown weary of Beijing's expansion. US and UK sanction Chinese hacking group. Foreign policy. The United States and United Kingdom have imposed new sanctions and criminal charges against a Chinese hacking group known as APT31, which is linked to the Chinese government. The hacking campaign targeted political information in both countries. The impact of the hacking was particularly severe in the UK, where one attack compromised data from the UK Electoral Commission, which stores personal information on 40 million voters. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Australia in an attempt to repair bilateral ties, amid tensions over issues such as human rights and cybersecurity. Wang's visit coincided with the release of a video showing Chinese police deporting suspects accused of cyber scams from Fiji, where China has no extradition treaty. The video further highlighted the competition between China and Australia in the Pacific Islands. China has been trying to attract foreign investment with a charm offensive aimed at Western business leaders as foreign investment increasingly leaves the country. However, foreign direct investment in China in the first 2 months of this year fell by nearly 20% compared to the same period last year. Meanwhile, the Netflix adaptation of the Chinese science fiction novel, The Three-Body Problem, has faced criticism on the Chinese internet. Chinese nationalists objected to the casting of some roles with black actors and claimed that the scenes set during the Cultural Revolution made China look bad. Japan's tale of two economies, BOJ hike and stock boom yet to trickle down. Nikkei Asia. While Japan's stock market and economy appear to be thriving, many citizens, especially those outside of major cities, are struggling to see the benefits. The recent wage increases secured by labor unions have not reached the majority of workers, and inflation has made it difficult for people to make ends meet. Only 16% of workers in Japan are members of a labor union, and a majority of Japanese citizens do not believe the recent wage hikes will improve their financial situation. The economic concerns have led to a decline in Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's approval rating, as citizens are dissatisfied with the cost of living and the general state of the economy. The economic growth in Japan has also not translated to improvements for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, which struggle to make profits and raise wages. The productivity problem in Japan, coupled with low wages and a high labor turnover, is hindering the growth potential of many industries, including the anime industry. Animators in Japan work long hours for low pay, and the industry is facing a shortage of skilled workers due to the unsustainable conditions. To sustain the recent economic growth and address the challenges faced by SMEs, experts suggest that Japan needs to boost productivity, reform corporate governance, and internationalize its corporations. The country also needs to address its demographic crisis, as it has the highest dependency ratio among OECD countries. While Japan's economic growth may be modest compared to other countries, a steady growth rate coupled with controlled inflation could provide a solid foundation for the stock market to continue performing well. However, the benefits of the stock market's performance are not reaching the majority of citizens, particularly those who rely on pensions. BOJ's next challenge will be to pull back from stocks and bonds. Nikkei Asia. The Bank of Japan, BOJ, must work hard to end a quarter-century of zero interest rates and prevent a major policy mistake, as global investors largely dismissed the first policy tightening in 17 years, writes William Pesek in Barron's Asia. The zero-rate regime, which has been in place since 1999, has removed the urgency to reform the economy, level playing fields, and cut bureaucracy. Furthermore, zero to negative rates have damaged Japan's banking system and left the country exposed to surging energy and food prices. Hong Kong out of World Cup following second Uzbekistan loss in 1 week. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong has been eliminated from the 2026 FIFA World Cup following a 3-0 defeat by Uzbekistan. Despite a lack of technical quality and athleticism against their superior opponents, Hong Kong did not lack effort. However, with only 1 point from 4 group matches, they cannot qualify for the World Cup finals. Hong Kong is ranked 154th in the FIFA standings, 88 places beneath Uzbekistan and 134 behind Iran. Zambia's debt workout shifts back to China after bondholder pact. Bloomberg. Zambia has reached an agreement with holders of its Eurobonds, but it still needs to revamp $1.9 billion in loans borrowed from state-owned creditors in China. The deal will accelerate the restructuring process as it sets a precedent for dealing with multiple lenders. China, which co-chairs Zambia's official creditor committee, will continue to coordinate with relevant parties to move the debt treatment process forward. Zambia is the first test case for the Group of 20's Common Framework approach to help poor nations rework debts owed to sovereign and commercial creditors. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.